So, hi there, and welcome to another Mind Moments Spotlight session. So, it's kind of like a Mind Moments Monday, and we go live every week with a new topic. Maybe not a new topic, but just another topic on the um, theme of how to get clarity in your life without all the rush, the hassle. And today we're going to talk about giving ourselves permission to move at a gentler pace. Hmm. To adjust your pace a little bit. Hi, guys, I'm Cindy, and I am the certified self expansion coach that runs this Facebook community and YouTube channel, Essentials for Peace and Balance. And I am a retired educator. So I enjoy helping high achieving people to move from that place of either overwhelm or overthinking into a place of greater clarity and confidence, and most of all, follow through. Mm, follow through. So if follow through happens to be something that's been on your mind lately, drop me an F in the comments. A follow through. F, follow. Type the word follow in there. Follow through is often something that people that are high capacity, high achieving, and maybe even creative, um, sometimes follow through is hard. We can get a lot of things on our plate, following through and getting things taken care of and learning how to do all that at a gentler place is not always that easy. So I chose this topic specifically right now because we're in summer mode. And if you have a position or a job where things are a little slower or laid back in the summer, then you know that it is sometimes a different kind of energy. And I want us to embrace that. So for some of us, summer feels lighter and more spacious. How about you? Do you feel lighter and more spacious in the summer? For others, it feels full and scattered and busy and unpredictable because often there are schedule changes, our family needs shift in the summer, routines tend to loosen up a bit, maybe get too loose, and our energy may come in waves. And especially if you live in a climate where it can get really hot, that can zap your energy too. So even the temperature, the environment can look like bright and inviting, but you get out there and you get wilted real quick. Sometimes, instead of honoring shifts like this, when things are changing, our family needs are kind of different right now, we still quietly pressure ourselves to keep going and keep moving at a pace we did in a different season of life. Hmm. But here's your reminder today. Moving slower doesn't mean you're falling behind or you're losing your touch or you're going to, not get the likes or engagement that you need to get. Then This is your reminder. It's okay. It's okay to move slower because you're not falling behind. Slower often means wiser. I've learned that over the years. I'm still learning that. Slower sometimes means wiser. It gives you an opportunity to be more honest with yourself. And sometimes slower is how clarity, a clear mind, finally has room to rise up. So I want to ask you one question, and you can put your answers in the chat. What feels slower for you right now? Doesn't have to be related to summer. In your business, in your personal life, in your personal growth, in your needs that you have, all your responsibilities. What's something that's you feel like you're falling behind on? It feels like it's going slower than you would like it to. Put that in the comments and we'll chat about that a little later. It could be your energy. It could be your decision making. Maybe you've got a heavy decision that needs to be made and you've been putting it off. Or, of course, that follow through could be an issue. Or maybe it's your creativity. How about your focus? Is that, less steady than what you'd like it to be? Maybe it's even your desire to, be around people, the people you're used to being around and enjoy spending time with. Maybe that's feeling a little sluggish now. I just want you to think about that list. And if you feel comfortable, just drop a word or a short phrase in the comments. So I want us to take a minute just to settle. And I've got my balance here again. Love that one. So we're just going to settle, take a deep breath in and out, in and out. You can close your eyes or leave them open. Mm. I'll tell you what, cupping an essential oil is the quickest way, I think, to deal with those seasons or sessions when you've got something coming up that you're having a real difficult time with, or you're scattered in your thoughts. This just kind of helps take that pressure off. I want you to breathe in again. Mm, and release it. And let's do it one more time. You ready? Mm, and I want you to soften your shoulders, soften your jaw, maybe your hands. And now ask yourself, think about this. What part of me has been trying to rush and get more done and stay really busy, even though you're tired? Now be honest with yourself. What part of you has been trying to rush something, even though you're tired and it's just not coming. It's just not going. Hmm. And the second thing I'd like for you to think about is what would feel different if you gave yourself permission with that one thing that is not happening the way you wish it would. If you gave yourself permission to move forward with more steadiness instead of putting pressure on yourself. Now, what does pressure look like for you? I'm going to give you a few ideas of what it looks like for me sometimes. Expecting myself to always be productive, to always be available, to always be doing something creative, to feel like I'm not getting enough rest. Sometimes that pressure itself, that I'm not organized enough. I need to be more organized. And that I need to be clear on all this stuff all at once. You know, thinking that everything has to be in place for me to feel steady and productive. And you know what? Steadiness doesn't work that way. Steadiness is about giving yourself permission to choose what actually fits your capacity. And you know what? Our capacity varies given all kinds of dynamics in our life. And so steadiness is really just giving yourself permission to choose what fits with your capacity right now. So I know that a lot of us have been trained to measure progress by speed. You know, how fast did I respond to that email or that text? How much did I get done today? How quickly did I make a decision? How many things did I get to check off my list? Quick, quick, quick. But clarity is not always the quick answer. Think about that in your life. Sometimes have you just done things quickly and it hasn't worked out or it hasn't got you any further ahead? You're just doing, and not really focusing on what the outcome is of all that busyness. Hmm, that's something I have to keep track of for myself. Clarity often comes in the small, quiet realizations. So if you have been demanding an answer for yourself right now, or pushing yourself to be more productive, to stay busy every minute, you may be adding more noise instead of clarity. I did that for a lot of years. I was in a high demand career, and yeah, that busyness really could get to a place where it clouded my clarity and what I needed to do for myself and for my family, for my business. And that is normal. That is typical, especially when we have a lot on our plates. And this is especially true in seasons where your mind or your body, your family, maybe your business, maybe your schedule is asking for more space, more white space. And that could look like being slower, but more intentional. Slowing the pace can still be productive. You know, every season of life does not demand productivity every minute. It can't. If you're always up there, up there, up there, and you've got that pressure and that anticipation and all that stuff, it's going to wear you down. Being slower does, doesn't mean you're not faithful or you're not committed or you're not invested. Slower may simply mean that you are now listening more carefully, tuning in, tuning in more often. So when we add urgency to everything, so let's think about it. When we add urgency to everything, then even simple decisions and simple actions and simple responsibilities that we have can feel overwhelming and we can get frustrated and we can start saying, you know what, I should have already had that done. Um, I should already know how to do all this. I should be farther along. I wasted my day. I need to get this figured out now, 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 now. I can't slow down or I'm going to lose momentum. But urgency, like I said earlier, it often creates more mental noise. And what else could we say besides mental noise? Mental chaos, mental confusion. What would you say if everything is urgent and we're just creating all of this anxiety and stress and pressure on ourselves? What is that mental noise? It creates noise in your life, but it also creates confusion and chaos and stress. And what are words? There's more words than that. We ought to do a little thing in the thesaurus and see, you know, what's another word for chaos, noise. And when there is more of that noise, it becomes harder for you to hear what is true, what is wise, and what is aligned. You know, we can get stuck in a mode of reacting to the urgency of everything, especially if we have a lot of things on our plate, instead of responding with a clear mind. So consider that slowing down that we've been talking about, a more gentle pace, because when you utilize a more gentle pace, doesn't have to be slow, just more gentle. It gives your nervous system time to settle. And we all know what happens when our nervous system gets rattled. We lose sleep, we get frustrated, we get cranky, we make mistakes, more mistakes than usual. So, slowing down or going at a more gentle pace just gives your thoughts time to sort. It gives your spirit time to breathe. When that feeling of urgency hits, and it will, try asking yourself, what is just one step I can take at a pace that I actually have the capacity for right now? Because that gentle movement still counts in a big way, especially if you are faithful and consistent. even when your capacity is not as big and massive as it used to be, or it is when you're not carrying so many responsibilities. Those more gentle movements can really make a big difference. So right now, you may be in a season that's all about the small and steady, not filling every single moment with busyness just to prove that you're being productive or that you're, getting things done. Small and steady movement. What might that look like for you? Maybe a quiet decision that needs to be made. Maybe an honest conversation that needs to be had. Maybe it's filling one order at a time instead of stressing about all the orders or the responsibilities at work. Maybe it's just a walk outside, to stand out there and breathe for a bit, look at the clouds, listen for the birds. Maybe it's a journal prompt, or maybe some prayer time. Any of these small steps can help you stay connected to yourself. And it's part of the process. So when we are not trying to force clarity, we are actually creating space for it. So instead of filling this up with mental noise by forcing everything, we're actually creating space. And that feels good. And when we can make it a habit to pause often, not just when we get so overwhelmed, but often pause and notice what has been buried under all the pressure. Notice what that is so that you can start moving at a more gentle pace. So, for you to reflect, I want to give you a few sentences, and I'll put these in the comments too so that you can reflect on these and complete one or two of these sentences. Right now, I'm giving myself permission to move slower with and fill in the blank. One area where I've been rushing myself is blank. If I softened the pressure, I might notice, and what might you notice if you softened the pressure on yourself? One small step I can take this week is, think about that, fill in the blank, give yourself just a few minutes to write down the answer to some of these. So, whether we're talking about life, about business, about our creativity, our personal growth, the invitation from today's session is the same. You don't have to rush your way into clarity, into feeling productive. It's not necessary. You can create space for it to grow. And how do we do that? By moving forward and giving ourselves permission to create a gentler pace. So if today's talk connects with you, then there are a few steps you can do. You can join us for our Clarity Challenge that's coming up July 21st. It's the third Tuesday of the month. and it's on managing triggers and emotional well-being. And it's a 90-minute live reset experience, doesn't cost a thing, and it's designed to help us high achievers navigate life's transitions. And another thing, if you want to, if you want more of a one-on-one chat, I'll put a link down below for you to schedule a mini Clarity Kickstart session so that we can talk and maybe I can support you through whatever feels heavy or unclear for you at the moment. So I'm going to leave you with this and say it out loud after me. I am allowed to move slower right now, not because I'm giving up, but because I'm learning how to move with more wisdom, peace, and self-trust. Thank you guys for joining me, and we will see you next Monday.